Alrighty then, it's time for the Jungle Xin Zhao game. Let's get this show on the road. Which one? And I'm gonna tell you right now, I love the rework so much. It might be my newest favorite rework. Warwick was my favorite from before this, but this new Xin Zhao feels so much better to play. I've tried so many builds on him already. The Tiamat build, Tiamat rushing. I've tried the attack speed. I've tried a bruisery attack speed one. And I've tried the caster one. This is actually the first caster game I've tried with him, which makes it so you'll see me screw up the W a lot. This video will mostly be talking about the strengths of the rework and the builds I've tried and that kind of thing. But I do want to point out how bad this early game is. So I screw up my W. Even if I did hit him, I probably wouldn't have let to be killing him. But it forces flash out anyways, and he probably shouldn't have because Master Yi was just around the corner and they could have probably turned this around. Whatever. I don't get why he decides to sort of face check this bush anyways, so he gets too close and I just jump on him with everything. And we destroy him. Fizz gets the kill. Now, it was also very obvious Master Yi was going to gank Talon, so the Talon should have kind of backed off. But even then, Master Yi wasn't able to kill him. And then Master Yi decides to face check the bush. I don't get what's up with this so far. Everyone's just face checking bushes. So I get a bunch of free damage on him. Yeah, he did have his W, but even so, it's not good for him to be, taking this amount of damage. And I destroy him, and Talon's able to kill the Nasus, who probably should have just backed off at that point. So hooray for us, our early game is considerably stronger now. Anyways, I've tried different builds on him, and so far, straight out, the AD caster one is far better. Now, old Xin Zhao had this issue in which he didn't have chasing potential, and some of you will go, but Stonewall, what about his E? Yes, what about his E? It was a targeted spell, alright? So, if he wasn't in range to get somebody with it, you probably was going to chase him forever, and he wasn't really the fastest champion around, so once they cleared some distance on you and you didn't have your E, you weren't going to catch anybody at all. So the most that would happen is you would walk up to them and they'd keep you at bay, and then you use your E and then they knock you back or something, and then you would just kind of, die. That was Xin Zhao's problem. If you got fed enough to just absolutely destroy somebody and reset your cooldowns, yeah, you could probably just destroy everybody. And Xin Zhao also had that weird issue that even if you get super farmed and fed, you're still easy to kill because people can control you very easily. You didn't have any actual range, you didn't have any actual maneuverability, and you're basically just a rocket that goes in one straight line, and if you kill somebody or everybody, you win. If you don't, they just knock you out of the sky. That was Xin Zhao's old problem. Just way too simple for his own good and basically no real versatility. Now, this new Xin Zhao has two potential builds. One, again, the caster one just feels better because, to be honest, caster builds for junglers just tend to be better and much easier to build for, and they tend to be more versatile as well. And they tend to, become the strongest in the early and mid game and then kind of weaker in the late game. But we're going to talk about that sort of scaling for Xin Zhao in a bit later too. Just sort of watch the menace I am in the early game, how much damage I can output. Mid-game, I still feel it's probably going to be Xin Zhao's strongest, like in his old one. Mid-game was probably the best for him because that's when his damage is pretty good. And, I mean, yeah, he could still probably die, but the enemy wasn't likely team fighting, or he'd probably be able to knock one or two people around before he got destroyed. And then late game was, he could become a huge terror, but oftentimes he would still kind of die. You get where I'm going with this? Now, the caster build, again, every game I've played with the caster build, early and mid-game is incredible. You just kind of destroy people, and they can't kite you as well anymore because your W has this like huge ass poke that slows them and at least allows you to get sort of in range of somebody. Plus, it's a pretty damn strong nuke, and it does well with cooldown and the warrior. The attack speed build had the same problems as before, though you had a little bit more chasing potential, and your new ultimate, which I'm gonna just tell you guys straight out, the new ultimate makes me feel so tingly inside. I cannot stress how much I love this new ultimate. It might be really problematic at some point. They might make it smaller, or they might change a few things. They'll probably change a lot of things with the new Xin Zhao. They're probably going to increase the cooldown on his W because it's honestly a little bit too low, because it makes the AD caster a little too strong, because you can just keep spamming that and you're kind of really strong, even though it's hard to aim. But his new ultimate is like, I just gush about it. It's like, you can go in there and knock everyone around, and it could, like, the old one had the issue that, yeah, you knocked people around, and then what? They just kind of turn around and shoot you, and that's it, you die. You couldn't get the best targets for it or whatever. Even if you flash eat onto someone, it was so predictable that your follow-up with your ultimate wasn't going to accomplish anything because any relevant target would have made room for it, or they're just going to kill you in return. The new one allows you, depending on the enemy team composition, to knock them about and then kill somebody without being destroyed by their AD carry or from some spellcaster. Like, again, you might have seen me use, or you probably will see me use it a few times, my ultimate, when I'm fighting against somebody and the victor's nearby. I just stop his damage. It's like, I don't want you to kill me. In a lot of cases back then, with the old Xin Zhao, I was so afraid of initiating because you have this lag with your ultimate where most people would destroy you before you get to do anything. And now, like, like Brand was one of my biggest fears because he probably just murdered you rather quickly, or just anyone with some form of control or some massive nuke. I got, like, here, look, I'll use my ultimate and then Victor couldn't do jack shit. He put his W because it isn't a projectile, but oh my god, just how much I love that ultimate. I was even considering tinkering with like full-on tank builds to try to make that work, but so it didn't really do anything. So you kind of want to go with Bruiser attack speed or Caster to make his ultimate, you know, as effective as possible. But oh my god, I love it so much. Everything about him is just more fluid. I guess the animations did a lot to him, because now you can do some weird combos where, let's see, you go Q, instantly use your E, so it sort of stops your whole Q animation. I believe it was something like Q, E, QW, and then Q ultimate, and then you get this like bursty thingy, although it might not be the most effective to use in all instances. But I find myself mostly using the QE if I'm in melee range, or, you know, Q, so Q, and then EQ, that kind of thing, so you can add the last knock up to it. So there's just a lot more fluidness to it. And as a friend of mine compared it to, he feels a lot like a less useful or like less utilitarian Jarvan, but definitely a better fighter. Like Jarvan's my favorite champion, but I gotta straight out admit, he's probably one of the worst fighters in the game. He can burst someone down, but he can't stand toe-to-toe and fight. So, like right now, I'm loving Xin Zhao because of that whole new nature of this. You can do some mildly useful utilitarian things for your team, but you're a fighter regardless of whatever build you have, even as a tank. I mean, yeah, in the old one he had it, but you know, he didn't have a lot of control, so anyways, or control fluidity or that consistency in, you know, doing things. It just felt super clunky. I mean, the animations where your Q and your W have some getting used to, especially because how anime they are, but once you try them out, you get what I mean. Anyways, the biggest one here that I want to talk about is his power spike, or his power difference. And what I already mentioned early on, his old one had the mid game as probably his best one, in my opinion. A lot of people would say that late game Xin Zhao is really powerful, but I would say they're kind of smoking. If you're super fed, late game Xin Zhao, yeah, will crush a lot of people, but in most cases, against most team compositions that are actually working together, they're going to control you, and then they're just going to kill you. Like, Xin Zhao was very predictable and didn't do very much. Against most team compositions, against some, and I guess against some lower crowd control or more melee heavy team compositions, you could possibly do something if they're not going to kite you, but in most cases you'd be controlled and you wouldn't really do anything. The new one though, with the two different builds that I feel so far are competent, I've tried two, and I've tried some variation of the two. The caster one, the early game is amazing. I just straight out, I become such a menace really quickly, and then I start destroying people in the mid game. And your late game isn't so bad either, because you have like a half build for bursty and then half build for fighter, and you still stand toe to toe. With the attack speed one, it's the same thing as before, but thanks to your W at least giving you some slow potential, some control, and again, still being, you know, a little bit, you know, mostly fighter, a little bit caster, you can do a lot more. And your ultimate, again, even if they didn't change the W, the ultimate would have made such a big difference. I could jump in on this team right now, hopefully knocking the Alistair away, and Tristana wouldn't be able to blast me off. The Victor wouldn't be instant nuking me. Like in most other cases, like let's say an Ash Arrow, she wouldn't be able to, you know, stun me or Varus do anything. It just feels so graceful to be able to go in there and maybe kill somebody without getting destroyed in the process. Now, the attack speed one is pretty weak early game from what I felt, because again, most people will kite you, and then there's a little lull between your damage during certain fights when you're having to chase somebody down. So I would say the attack speed one is way weaker in the early game because you also need items. Then mid game it starts getting better, and then late game it's pretty damn strong. You know, again, stinks because of the more control you have, but that's not something you kind of really want, right? You don't want to, as a jungler, you don't want to gamble on your late game. So the AD caster has so far been way more successful for me because it gives you what a jungler wants. A really strong early game, or a workable early game, that leads into an incredibly strong mid game where most people so far haven't been able to control or deal with me. I'm going to assume because it's they're new to Xin Zhao, and even then Xin Zhao they're not used to him in his old form, so they don't understand that you probably can't pick a fight with him because he's a strong 1v1 duelist. But then comes the other thing that I fear might get him nerfed, alright? So, like I was saying, I don't think Riot wanted him to become an AD caster, because AD casters in the jungle in the past have been huge problems, aka Pantheon. Because, you know, itemizing for AD is really easy, especially for junglers, because Warrior is a lot better than Runic Echoes and that kind of thing. And straight out itemizing to defend against it is even harder for a lot of champions. So you're constantly just kind of destroying people. Your jungle clearing tends to scale around with your AD too, so you kind of get faster and more dangerous and that kind of thing. It's just too efficient, right? So they're likely going to tone down his W, no doubt. Either add cooldowns or, you know, its AD scaling go down or something, because I'm pretty sure they don't want this kind of thing. Because even if I'm building myself as AD caster, like I already mentioned, my fighting potential isn't way worse than it would be if I was attack speed or that kind of thing. I still can stand toe-to-toe with some people and just naturally beat them to death, which is not a good thing. I mean, think of someone like Pantheon. Pantheon, he can't stand toe-to-toe with a lot of characters, although he can be, you know, he can fuck some people up, but not absolutely. He goes in there and bursts people down. Most AD casters are kind of assassins. They can't, you know, exchange blows with people. They blow their load, and then hopefully they killed somebody by that point. The new Xin Zhao is having this issue where I can destroy and nuke somebody down, and then beat the shit out of the rest of the team. And that's not a good thing. That's like a potentially broken thing at some point in the game. Now, I just want to point this out in this game. It was very frustrating to play this one, actually, because I was actually telling my teammates that we need to win this. Like, late game, my composition is dog crap against theirs, right? We can't win in the late game. So, that's kind of an issue, especially since I went the AD caster build. And you're just starting to see that even me, with all my glory and all my fedness and that kind of stuff, is kind of starting to trail behind and getting killed by, like, the super farm Nasus. Or he was super huge, and he is kind of farmed anyways. So whatever. If this is one of those things that this was one of those games that was trying to show me right now that not this build to go full on bursty isn't gonna work out in most cases for late game as in Zhao. But either way, it's kind of good to have that option, right? Old Xin Zhao didn't really have that many options with builds, and a caster build for junglers, an AD caster or even an AP caster build, tends to have the benefit in which you can, aside from your one core item, which is usually just a warrior, you can just go in a variety of different builds right after, either tanky or more damagey or whatever. So this rework of his, or at least this rework with the AD caster build, has given Xin Zhao way more build versatility than he could imagine. So I love it too. I love it for that factor. Like, I don't feel so trapped as Xin Zhao anymore. And you guys know, I was a huge fan of old Xin Zhao, and I would bust him out every now and then too. But he always felt restrictive. You got to get attack speed and AD, the very few AD ones, the same build every time. Even though technically I am kind of going very similar build as Xin Zhao right now, I feel I could, you know, trade it for something else. I could try the Duskblade on him if I want to. I mean, you still ideally want to have at least one attack speed item, which Blade of the Rune King tends to be kind of the best one to go for him. But then afterwards, you can take whatever you want. I've taken Trinity Force. I've taken, again, the Tiamat. I would have probably gone, I've probably gone Ravenous Hydra with it. But, you know, you get what I mean, right? And with the Trinity Force, too, I've tried different ones first. Trying out with a Sheen first. That one tended to be the weakest one. Then trying out, you know, a Stinger first or the Phage first is really just... it's been really enjoyable playing the new Xin Zhao, and I think that's kind of the most important thing. Old Xin Zhao had these bouts where I'd play him and I just wouldn't feel like I'm having fun, even if I was getting, you know, big, because there's nothing I could do except the same mashing my face on the keyboard. But the new one, I haven't had so much fun playing League of Legends, like playing an old champion in League of Legends. Like the Rework was great and fun and everything, but you guys know that ended after a little while. You know, I still like him and I still enjoy playing him, but the new Xin Zhao, it's like this is everything I idealized or wanted in most reworks. So, just I don't know. Like you guys again, look at my match history, just spamming the hell out of him. Even the new Rework, even the other champions I enjoyed playing, I didn't spam them as much as the new Xin Zhao. I don't know. For me, I think he's great. Don't know if he's competitively viable, but I love him.